This is the most unlucky Jew I've ever seen. He's either losing money, or on the way to lose money. The 4 words, every bet must lose, are vividly reflected in him. He actually just doesn't want to win, even if he holds strong cards in his hand. He also throws away the cards without hesitation. Don't give up until lose all the chips. Why he is so arrogant? It's because he is Sally, the top counterfeiter during World War II. He can draw banknotes more realistically than real ones. Even the bank says the banknotes he drew are real. Money is just a number to him, as much as he wants. Germany almost took over the whole of Europe because of his counterfeiting technology. With this craft, he lives a luxurious life every day, spending thousands of dollars in casinos. He doesn't care if loses millions just within a few minutes, but unfortunately, he is a Jew. At this time, the Germans are eating a piece of bread worth 500,000 marks. They are hostile to the Jews. Many Jews flee for their lives, get Sally to make a fake certificate to go abroad. Soon the police in Berlin find him, arrest him for making counterfeit money, put an end to his bohemian life. Then, he is sent to Mauthausen concentration camp. Just gets here, he sees how the Germans treat the Jews. Massacre and torture are quite common. He is assigned to work in the quarry. Jews are killed here every day by the Germans. He knows it's not easy to survive here, so he has an idea. Paints a portrait of a German officer with his festering hands. The next day, the officer sees portrait of himself, feels very satisfied. Sally sees the officer engrossed in the portrait, immediately goes up and says, if add a little more color to the painting, it will look more vigorous. Hearing this, officer's vanity wells up. Brings Sally back to the office immediately. Ask him to add colors to the painting. At this time, a German colonel walks in, sees Sally drawing so well. He asks Sally to draw a family portrait for him. With his unique craftsmanship, in the camp he becomes the imperial painter, and lives an easy life, milk and bread every day. He spends 5 years safely. One day, a sudden news breaks everything. Officer tells him, tomorrow morning he will be sent to another concentration camp. Sally is unwilling to give up the comfortable life here, so he deliberately makes an excuse to say that the background wall is not finished yet. The officer immediately beats him crazily using vine whip. Finally, Sally is sent to a new concentration camp. There's live barbed wire everywhere. When he goes in, he finds out that this is a printing factory. It turns out that in order to bring down the British and American economies, the Germans launches a program called Operation Bernhard. They plan to make a lot of pounds and dollars into the market, disrupt the economy. Most of the people who work here are Jews. They all have unique skills. Sally is appointed as the leader of the counterfeit banknote team by the officer. It turns out that when Sally first arrives at the camp, the officer recognizes him, because he was the policeman who arrested him and imprisoned him. He was promoted just because of arresting of Sally. He knows that Sally has superb skills, so puts him in charge of making counterfeit money. The whole team is under Sally. He also promises that as long as counterfeit money is made, guarantees that Sally will leave the camp alive. The first day, the material that can make the pound puzzles him. For a long time, despite many efforts, never reached the effect. But the officer is impatient, tells Sally if pound cannot be made within 3 days, he will be dead then. In order to find out the material of the British pound, he racks his brain. One day, he inadvertently pulls the apron to wipe his hands, finds that the pound is actually made of this Turkish sackcloth. He immediately collects everyone's aprons. Sure enough, pound paper is made successfully. Now, Sally only needs to use his superb painting skill to draw all the patterns on the pound, because the British don't use wallets, they hold the money together with pins. So Sally just makes a few small holes on the pound. After a few days of hard work, fake British pound turns out. The German officer is ecstatic, immediately asks an agent to send the pounds to the bank, but before leaving, officer tells Sally, if it is found out by the bank that they are counterfeit banknotes, everyone here must die. At this time, everyone's here are very nervous. After identified by the expert from bank, finally confirm that these pounds are real. Just to double confirm, agent sends them to Swiss bank again, but the result is still the same. The two banks identify that they are real banknotes. Hear the result. Everyone is relieved, and shows a long-lost smile. To reward them, the officer sets up a ping-pong table for them, to ask them to relax themselves. Their next job is to make dollars. Back in the cell, everyone regards Sally as a lifesaver. He gives everyone hope to survive, but Burger is not happy. He thinks Sally is doing this to help Germany. Germans are bankrupt, no foreign exchange, no fuel, no ingredients. Helping Germany create counterfeit money is providing war economic support to the Germans. The consequence is to keep the war going, but none of that matters to Sally. He just wants to survive. As long as can live, he can do anything. Burger calls Sally a lackey, as Burger expects. Since Germany masters the technology of making fake pounds, it provides sufficient wartime economic support to Germany. Soon the German army quickly asked them to start making dollars. For Sally, making dollars is actually much easier than pounds, because he used to print dollars by himself. Soon he makes a lot of dollars. But never expected, the dollars produced this time are not qualified. turn out to be? It turns out Burger vandalized the printing negative, so to make the dollars failed, Burger admits it, and says that printing money is undoubtedly massacring own compatriots. He would rather die, and doesn't want to become an accomplice of the German army. Sally doesn't turn on him, instead explains to the officer that there is something wrong with the gel. The printing of dollars has been delayed. One day, while Sally is cleaning, he overhears that the German army was beaten, and retreated steadily. He couldn't help laughing out. But this scene is seen by the officer. Then he pisses on Sally's head. He wants the Jews to know, this is what happens when Jews dare to laugh at them. To survive, the Jews can only endure. After the officer leaves, he smashes washing basin angrily, to vent his anger. This is a concentration camp in Germany. If not cautious here, could be shot dead on the spot. One day Sally is playing table tennis, suddenly a gunshot. A Jew in the house is inexplicably shot. Everyone here is shocked by it. Burger sees Sally motionless, comes up immediately, sarcastically asks him continue playing ball, and just pretend not to hear. Then Burger says, Sally is willing to serve the Germans. This is what happens when he helps the Germans. Sally was insulted by the officer just yesterday, so he takes all his anger out on Burger, pushes him to the ground and beats him crazily. However, when Sally faces doubts from the officer, he keeps explaining that it's just the gel's problem, and the officer gives an ultimatum to everyone, says that if the dollar cannot be produced, all of them will be dead then. A Jew with glasses can't sit still. He tells Sally, if Burger is sabotaging again, just turns him in. Sally doesn't want anyone here to get hurt, so he goes to talk to Burger again. Burger tells him his wife was killed by the Germans. He doesn't want to help them. As long as the Germans cannot print counterfeit money, war will be over soon. Sally can't convince him. He finds the German officer on his own and offers to make a deal, says that if he can make dollars within a month, just let him out of the camp. The officer immediately agrees Sally's request. Then Sally walks into the printing room alone, starts to make dollar by himself. Soon the 1 month deadline is up. Germans come to the factory. Seeing no any progress, the officer decides to execute them one by one. At this crucial moment, Sally hurries out, takes out a few stacks of dollars. Let him check. He takes out the magnifying glass. Surprised look on face. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, anxiously escapes again. The officer also fulfills his promise, gives Sally a pass. With the pass, Sally can leave the camp without incident, but never expected. Germany is defeated. Allied forces have attacked Berlin. German troops prepare to retreat with printing machines. But the retreat of the German army means death to the Jews. They dump the Jews here. Suddenly, a group of scrawny inmates break through the wall. By this time the Jews have occupied the camp. Sally and others are rescued. The war is over. They are finally free, and they made a total of £130 million in the camp. 4 times the foreign exchange reserves of the United Kingdom at the time, provided a lot of economic support to Germany. This is a movie based on real events. During World War II, Operation Bernhard, the Germans massacred 6 million Jews. The only value of these Jews in the movie is to make counterfeit banknotes for Nazis. This is the only hope to keep these people alive. It's also the poison that delays the Allies to save them. Under the predicament of the time, the inner suffering can be imagined.